So here is how to earn certification. So first of all, you need to make sure that you've completed all of the mandatory units here. There are 3 in Get Started. And then in Module 1, I'm looking at earning certification for Module 1. You can see that all of these have been completed. So now I can go to certification. And step 1 is to invite a colleague. We always encourage you to do that. This is the only way that this peer knowledge course will work, if colleagues join and actually participate. So make sure you don't just click on WhatsApp, and here you'll see this will send a message, but personalize the message. And also, if it's a colleague, go talk to them. If it's a colleague next to you or at the cafeteria or during a work break or during before or after a meeting, whatever it may be, you need to talk to them. Make sure that they understand what the course is. So that's invite a colleague. Once you've actually invited the colleague and confirmed their participation, click on Mark as completed, and you can now go to step 2. You can see here you get the confirmation, go to next. Now, here is where the learning process starts. Step 2 is to answer 2 questions. Here you have the reflective questions, question number 1 and question 2. Now, the questions are going to be different for each module because each module is different. But the process, what I'm describing now, is the same. So you'll start your submission, and here you find the questions, and there are 2 spaces for you to answer. So what experience first drew you to health or humanitarian work? So I'm going to think through then what I read in the module, think about it, give it due consideration, and then actually write up my answer. Now, this is a sample answer. Do not copy this. You can see that this sample answer is very personal. It's told in the first person, is referring to experiences in the module. The first one is really about reflecting on your experience, and then what is something you might do differently in the future, because this is about change. Again, you should think of your own answer based on your own experience. This is someone who'd like to focus more on mentoring young women interested in healthcare. So I'm now going to submit those responses. Be very careful. There is no undo. You cannot edit your responses once they have been sent. So that is step 2. Next, we'll have to go to step 3. And this is where you're actually going to be reviewing someone's answers and giving them feedback. This is why we ask you to invite others. This is where you get to interact with other humans. It is anonymous, so feedback can be candid. Let's look at exactly how this works now. Here we have actually quite a detailed answer. So I'm going to take time to read this. This person put a lot of thought into this. It deserves also thinking through what I'm going to be able to share back with them that will be meaningful and constructive and useful. So here, what exactly am I being asked to do? Question 1 is select the ratings that best describes the overall quality of their responses. So from no answer, insufficient, developing. So you can tell there's some ideas, but you can't really understand them, something strong and something exceptional. And then here, you need to explain the rating that you gave by giving constructive feedback and suggestions to help the author improve. The minimum is actually 25 words. Acknowledge the specific strengths you observed in their reflection. Offer one specific suggestion for how their response could be enhanced, and share a brief relevant insight from your own experience, if applicable. So this is where you can really take time to honor your colleagues. And you don't know this person, but you do know what they have shared, and they've shared a lot. So after really reflecting on this contribution, first of all, I do think it's quite exceptional. I learned a lot by reading this story. I found it really fascinating, and now I have to explain it. So I've composed my thoughts. I've written a lot more than 25 words, but here it is. So feedback on the reflection, the strengths, and the constructive suggestions. So that corresponds to the guidance here. I want to make sure that I take the time, again, to honor my colleague who's taken time to write this. Once I'm sure that this is what I want to do, then I can confirm. And again, you do need to be sure you cannot go back and edit these. Be responsible, be thoughtful, really share your feedback in the way you would like to see feedback about your own work. Now you can confirm here, and then we're going to go back, and this is where we can go to step 4. Now, step 4 is going to depend on someone else coming in and giving feedback. And right now that has not happened. So I'll need to wait to receive feedback, then I can access the feedback. And again, at this stage, if I try to go to the next step, I can't yet. So that means I have to be very mindful, maybe set a reminder in my calendar to come back and check to see once there is feedback from someone else in the course. I'm checking back into the course, and yes, I can see now, I can access the feedback again for the module certification I'm trying to achieve. And here, now it says reflect now. That means I have received feedback from a colleague. So let's go look at it. Click on reflect now. And so here is my original contribution. And here is, this time, this is the feedback from my reviewer. This is a colleague also taking the course, also sharing their experience, who found the overall quality of these responses strong, and then gave me feedback here. Yeah, about my personal narrative, about the reflection. Okay, very nice. So once I have taken this, I have given and received feedback, and that is key to the peer learning process in this course. So I'll mark this as completed. That means I have really spent time, and I would actually spend more time than I just did here in this tutorial to really think about what this person told me. I can always go back, and then I have to answer the value creation questions. So this is to help me get a sense of what value has been created by reading these stories and then giving and receiving feedback, sharing my experience. I'm going to be asked questions about professional identity, social connections, practical application, professional influence, and if anything changed about my perspective. So here are the questions. Participation changed me as a professional. So 1 means I strongly disagree. A 6 is I strongly agree. Yeah, so I'm going to say this is 6. Reading these stories was very enlightening. Can you explain how participation changed me as a professional? So there are 5 questions here. Maybe the first thing I would recommend is just going through the Likert scale. So social connections will not really peer review as anonymous, so I'll give that a 4. Participation helped my professional practice. Not directly, because this is yes, but you may have a different way to appreciate that. Influenced my world as a professional, I would say yes, because it's very impressive. Definitely helped me see the work of women and girls who work in health. And then I can go back and see where I want to make comments. Comments are not required here. They're not mandatory. So I really want to only make comments where I am moved to make comments, where I really actually have something to say. Yes, I will listen more to what women in health say, with insights gained about how their experiences shapes their commitment to working for health. So that is an example. I would take more time, of course, here than I'm doing now. Answer as many of the qualitative questions as really I am moved to, and then confirm. Again, there is no undo. You don't get to edit these responses. Once the responses are saved, then I can go back. And the final step is to get my certificate. So you see, I've now completed all the steps in certification, and I will now generate the certificate, and I'll show you some of the neat features here. So I can now, first of all, I want to download it. So this will download as a PDF, and make sure you download it because we do not store certificates. You have 1 week to download this. I can also share my certificate on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, and there's even a certificate page. So I can share this as well. So I'm going to share on LinkedIn, and this opens up a pop-up, and let's see what the preview. Just earned my first certificate for the Women Inspiring Women course, peer learning course. Whoops. Yeah. And I'll even put in the direct link to access the course. I'll post that. And there, that's on LinkedIn. So that is one more thing you can do, both to show your achievement and also encourage others to take the courses. This is really indispensable for a peer learning course. Now I've finished module 1. I don't need to go to module 2. I can go to module 4 or 5. I can skip around. I don't have to finish everything at once. I can work at my own pace. There are deadlines really to help you focus and set a realistic goal of, say, my goal was to finish module 1 certification this week. So I have now done that. I think I'll skip to routes to success. And the same principle applies here. So that's it. This is what you need to do to earn certification in a module. The same process applies to every module. The questions, of course, are different.